This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
Hey, I'm Logan. I'm a sergeant first class in the Army, and I've been lucky enough to secure one of the charity slots provided by the Lifetime Foundation for next year's Leadville 100. In order to do this, I'm looking to raise around $2,800 over the course of the next year to donate to the Lifetime Foundation. A lot of their focus is on youth movement and nutrition and conservation, among other things. And it's a really great cause, and I appreciate any help that you guys could give. And a little bit goes a long way, and it'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
In October 2019, Arlington, Texas was chosen to be the home of a new national museum, unlike any other. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a unique home of military history. The 100,000 square foot museum will house exhibits, archives, and artifacts relating to the 3,500 U.S. troops who have been awarded the medal, the nation's highest honor for valor in combat. The museum will have 31,000 square feet of galleries dedicated to U.S. troops who have received the award. The museum CEO, former Navy SEAL and NASA astronaut Chris Cassidy, said the museum will focus on education as much as preservation. The building will have 5 areas dedicated to Medal of Honor winners from the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. The main gallery will be located in a central plaza under a 25,000 square foot slab of steel, which will appear to be suspended in midair. It will be supported by 5 pillars. Black Rifle Coffee is a corporate sponsor of the museum, as are the Dallas Cowboys. The museum's board also includes over a dozen major corporations and 6 Medal of Honor recipients, including David Bellavia, Patrick Brady, and Britt Slabinski. Army Staff Sergeant Bellavia was awarded the medal for clearing an entire house by himself on November 10, 2004, as a squad leader in support of Operation Phantom Fury in Fallujah, Iraq. He killed 4 enemy fighters and wounded a 5th in close quarters battle. Army Major General Brady flew and coordinated the evacuation of 51 seriously wounded men during a firefight in Vietnam in January 1968. Slabinski, a Navy SEAL chief and team leader, led a rescue team of SEALs during Operation Anaconda in Afghanistan in March 2002. Slabinski and his team flew to a mountaintop ambush site to rescue Petty Officer First Class Neil Roberts, who had fallen from the back of a helicopter. Slabinski led the team through almost constant combat against an entrenched Taliban force. Along with the board members, former presidents Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama serve as honorary directors. The museum is expected to open to the public in late 2024.
All right. Welcome back.
MisFitNation. MisFitNation. The MisFitNation show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the MisFitNation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the MisFitNation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation Show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_MisFitNation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. The ToosDay Crue is here, hosted by Stephen LaMonica and Jake Collin. It is a Misfit Nation production that brings powerful stories of grit, resilience, and leadership to life. Stephen is a business leader and YouTube consigliere. He ensures the show runs smoothly, providing real-time feedback and maintaining discipline during live broadcasts. Jake, a 25-year Army veteran and former EOD tech. We call him Hurt Locker. We call him Lacey. Offers deep insights from his extensive service, which includes multiple combat deployments and VIP missions around the globe. Together, they welcome guests from diverse backgrounds to share their journeys, inspiring listeners with stories of overcoming adversity and leading with purpose. Whether you're tuning in for the insightful discussions or to enjoy Stephen's passion for NASCAR or Jake's anecdotes from his farm in Kentucky, the ToosDay Crue delivers a unique blend of entertainment and inspiration every week. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ToosDay Crue. All right. We are back on Tuesday. We thought we'd had a break. We thought we'd get through 2 days without having issues, but of course we did not. Yesterday we lost Deputy Constable Ruben Garcia from Cameron County Constable Office, Precinct 1 in Texas. End of watch was Monday, September 30th, 2024. So please keep him, all his family, friends, and peers in your thoughts and prayers as we go forward. And hopefully, by the grace of the good Lord above, we get to Thursday without adding another one to this. So without further ado, let's bring in Jake. Let's bring in Steve. Cagney, Lacey, take us away.
Good evening, everybody.
I wasn't there for a second. I'm like, where the hell did I go? How are you?
You're right there.
When it came up, it was just a little. Anyway, we start the show every week talking about fallen, police officers and everything. What the hell is going on with all celebrities in the last week?
I don't know.
I made a post on Facebook knowing, I'll joke, oh, that's number one. Who's number two and number three going to be? Like, this is like number 10 in the last week and a half. And what the hell's going on? They're dropping like flies.
They're piling up. I didn't make light of it, but now at least Pete Rose will probably get in the Hall of Fame.
And as stubborn as they are, you never know the answer to that one.
No, you don't. Hey, Stephen, before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to all of the aid workers, the volunteers. There have been convoys of Convoy of Hope trucks, power companies, tree removal companies out on the interstate down in front of my house all day today. I mean, I left for work a little bit before daylight, and they were already on the road then, heading to north and south, headed to wherever they were going in the southeastern United States to help deal with the devastation down there. And our thoughts and prayers go out to all those folks out there. And if you're listening tonight and you see fit to help these folks out, you can volunteer. You can go to the Red Cross. You can make a donation, and I'm sure anything that you give will be really appreciated by those folks down there.
Yeah, here in New Jersey, we always send public service or gas and electric guys wherever the problems are. But I watched the video today. The state police went with their search and rescue, and they had about 20 vehicles in this video going into a town so they could start searching and helping rescue and recover a lot of those areas. So New Jersey is sending a lot right now. I've seen all the other videos too, but I'm proud because of Jersey, but this is what you have to do. You have to become one. And this is when you realize we are one. We're not all just divided all the time.
No, we're not. No, we're not. Hey, we got a pretty exciting guest this evening, all the way from down under in Australia. I think we have a few listeners from over in that side of the world, a little bit north of there. But anyway, Nic Monteforte, she's coming to us from Australia. She's a trailblazing success alchemist with about 3 decades of experience in leadership and coaching and peak performance. She was the first female director of Fitness First Australia. She managed over $250 million in revenue and 2,500 employees. Her approach to coaching, it blends ancient wisdom, modern science, and strategic precision. And she uses that to help people achieve their full potential. I'm not going to go into how she got there. I'm going to let her tell that story. But I'd say without any further ado, let's bring Nic in. Good evening.
Welcome, Nic.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's an honor to be here, and I really appreciate it. And thanks for the nice welcome, Jake. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So I gave just a couple little sentences out of your pretty lengthy biography. Why don't you just fill in the gaps and start from wherever you want to start and tell us how we get to where we're at now?
Wow, gosh, how long have you got? Just kidding. I know it's evening there for you. It's only mid-morning for me. But look, I think, the best place for me to start is, to give you a little bit about me and the sort of person that I am and, what was innate from a very, very, very young age was, literally had a very strong, fierce determination just to be the best at everything that I did. That was kind of innate, and it started where I got put on a pair of snow skis when I was 3, and I took to the snow like it was in sort of my veins. So my competitive sporting nature was a part of my whole childhood. So I channeled most of my energy and my determination into sport, through that sort of younger period. And, obviously doing that, you get into school and doing school's kind of boring compared to, skiing or playing sport or winning in competition, anything to do with the physical world. And got out of school and really didn't know what to do because I was just a very physical person. So it took me into the area of sort of human movement, physical education, and that route, which was perfect because it was bringing sort of the two worlds together. And from that point, when I sort of found that space of the physical, taking care of the physical body, I also had a really innate, very, very strong passion for the mind-body connection. So the two kind of worked together. I did some sort of psychology courses and all of that over that younger period of time, and sort of randomly found my way into, I didn't find it. Somebody found me, actually. I was presenting at a breakfast for the DISC personal profiling system, which I'm not sure if you've heard about that, but it's just a system that's used in workplaces to understand sort of where people's strengths are in terms of what they should be doing and their behavioural style. So it's like a behavioural style profile. I was selling that, and I was at a breakfast, and in the audience was somebody sitting there who I thought I was selling this to, and he booked a meeting with me thinking I'm going into this big organization to sell this thing. And he literally said, I want you to come and work for me. And it was in the health and wellness space. So my career started there, and that was it. It was one foot after the other, and off I went on the it wasn't an intentional ladder climb. The ladder climb happened because I was so driven to perform and be the best at everything I could. And it was doing it in an industry that I fully believe in and know that is important for everybody in their life. So the two worlds kind of melded together. And from there, the journey went on, and had, got into the sort of senior ranks of the company, and then got appointed as the first female director for the company, which was massive back then. We're talking sort of 15 years ago. And that was kind of how my career sort of kicked into gear. And over that period of time, it was just a bit of an innate thing for me to be able to, my determination and my leadership style was very tough on performance, but soft on people. So because I had this innate ability to see I could polish rough diamonds was my skill, is probably a really good way to do it. I could take the underdogs and I could see the rough diamonds, and I'd bring them in whatever role or capacity, and I would be able to polish them and put them under enough pressure where they would shine like a diamond. And so all the people that came with me through my career, followed me all the way through. When I left that career and went into my own thing, I had a whole team that followed me because I had this ability to help see other people's, shine the light on their strengths and their untapped potential and bring it to fruition to the point where they were having these lives that they never dreamed of having. So it was sort of a gift. And then from there, I went off and sort of formed a consortium to do my own thing in the same space. And at that point, not unfortunately, because I'm here now and everything happens the way it's supposed to happen, the things started to turn a bit left. In terms of a whole lot of things happened in my life that were quite severe and quite traumatic. I ended up pretty much losing all of that I'd built. We had house, cars, we had the whole thing. And a decision that I made to sort of go into partnership didn't go the way that I thought it would, and it was with somebody I sort of very trusted very dearly. There was a big betrayal there. And on the back of that, everything that I'd put into this was just literally swiped out from underneath my feet because of, just a betrayal. Let's just leave it at that without going into too much detail. And from there, that lots of loss, lots of financial loss, lots of property loss. And at 45, I had to stand on my own 2 feet and think, how am I going to pay school fees for 2 kids in private schools? I was single parenting and all of that sort of stuff. So I went through a really, really hefty, I call it my decade from hell. But fortunately, because of my fierce determination, I just dug deep. And then I deployed all of the learnings that I had imparted on all these people that I'd grown, all of a sudden had to go inwards, and I had to impart them on myself. What are the strategies that I used to teach people when they were under pressure and stressed out and feeling burnt out? I had to apply to myself. What were the strategies, I used to give people when they were at the starting of their career journey and they wanted to do all these things and achieve all these things? I had to apply to myself. So all of a sudden, all of this work, this sort of 15 years of work in this big C-suite and all the adversity gave me this toolkit of knowledge and wisdom that I had to apply on myself to help me put one foot in front of the other to get out from where I was. And on the back of that journey, the sort of last part of that decade from hell, as I call it, was kind of the sort of the icing on the cake. The straw that broke the camel's back, icing on the cake, whichever way you want to look at it. But somebody, it took its toll on me, pretty badly. I also had a lot of health issues that kicked in because of the stress. I was under so much stress, so much pressure, and had so much going on that my physiology started to do things that meant that I had to have multiple different surgeries for different things that were going on. So it was the whole enchilada. They didn't leave anything out, right? Let's just put it that way. And at the end, it was like, good, yep, it's all coming.
You had the whole house thrown at you all at the same time.
I did. Yeah. So you talk
about... It wasn't just a hiccup. It was like, here, boom, let me just throw it all.
Yeah, it was all in one. It was in a decade. But the fun, that you talk about the phoenix rising from the ashes, that was it for me. I needed to become that to become this, right? So I had to be there to actually be where I am now. And I I wouldn't change any of it, even though it was brutal and it was challenging. There's far more challenging things that people are going through out there that are different, but it's all relative, right? What we all go through. And at that last sort of turning point, somebody said to me, a really good friend of mine said, you know, you need to learn this technique, this meditation technique. Now, I used my physiology. I used all my knowledge to get me through those stressful times by using my body as my weapon to help me get through, you know, calming the nervous system down by using force in the body, which was all I knew. I did have meditation practices in there, like everyone, I did anything, whatever I could find. And he said to me, this is different. This is a technique, you know, lose the word meditation. This is an ancient technique that's steeped in wisdom from 5,000 years plus old. You know, we can't even go back. We can only go back so far. And it was this technique, and I nosedived into the science of this philosophy and this technique and where the information came from. And it just basically comes from a very ancient body of knowledge that's, you know, the stem of all wisdom. It's got nothing to do with religion. It's not about that. It's just a wisdom of how to live life. And this technique was a practice which we call Vedic meditation. It's also known as transcendental meditation, TM, in the States. Again, it's not religious, so I just want to make that clear, because a lot of people think it's attached to something, but it's not. So I learned this technique and I studied it for 3 years, and then went in and got qualified to be able to teach it. And the reason I did that was because it added the final layer of all this knowledge of everything I know about peak performance. It added the final piece that made me look at it and think, oh my goodness, if I had known this back then from a peak performance point of view, I would have had everyone doing it. Because what it does is it allows peak performance to be long-term and sustainable, right? The issue we have with high achievers and performance, and you would know this from everything that, you know, all your experiences, you would understand that it's not sustainable in the long term. Like, you can't push that hard on or permanently. You will burn out at some point. Your physiology is going to deplete itself. Your mind is going to deplete itself. It's not sustainable. And what this technique did, and all the wisdom that comes with it, actually gives you a tool to allow your body to go into deep states of rest so it can repair itself more regularly and remove layers of stress that we're accumulating in our life every day, so that you can have long-term sustainable peak performance without burnout and without everything that comes with that. So it was the two worlds kind of merged together and got me to where I am today. In terms of, you talk about alchemy, and it's like the fusion, you know, it's like the alchemizing peak performance into something different that is long-term and sustainable. And that's why I did it. It was like, if I could give this knowledge with everything else that I teach people and all the other sort of, I guess, all the other experiences I've had, and I can bring them together and hand this to them and say, here's one modality that we need to add to the other 6 that I'm teaching you. It's just another tool for them to be able to achieve what they want long term without the consequences of what that peak performance does to our physiology. And that's kind of sort of where we've got to. So hopefully that was not too long-winded for your question.
No, it was not. It was not. Now, you deal with a lot of high achievers, people trying to get the best peak performance. And in my experience, and from just what I've seen, a lot of high achievers, they have something usually that they're very insecure about, and that's usually what holds them back. What are some of the biggest challenges that high achievers face, and how do you help them overcome these obstacles?
Yeah, so that's a fantastic question. They do, and I'll come at it from a bit of a different angle, because it might help in sort of answering it. In my experience, and with myself as well, the high achievers that I have worked with, and including myself, always feel like a bit of an underdog. So they've got something to prove to someone, or whether it's themselves or externally. So that's typically what I find. And it was with myself. I'm short, I'm Italian, I'm all these different things that made me feel like I was a little bit, and sort of back when I was growing up and going to school, you didn't want to tell anyone what your surname was, because back then it wasn't, this multicultural world, there was still a bit of a stigmatism around sort of ethnicity and stuff like that, which is obviously different now. So there was always that element of underdogness. And so I always had something to prove to the world, but it was obviously to myself. And that's what I found. So typically when you talk about what gets in their way, their obstacles, that's probably one to start with, that they don't even realize that that's what's there in them, that there is something in them that is them wanting to prove their worth, or that they're good at something or whatever. So that's probably one. And so how do I deal with that? I don't focus on it. What I do is I see their hidden potential, and we focus on the areas they can't see that they have within themselves, that we can shine a light on to bring to the forefront. So, that's one of the ways that we deal with it. The other way in terms of dealing with people's obstacles is, I've had so many of them. There's not many blocks or obstacles that people can throw at me that I haven't been through, like myself. So when it comes up, I am foresight rather than hindsight. So I am their foresight. So I can come at it from a place of, this is all the experiences that I've had, and here is my journey and the things that I did to get out of that, and use my hindsight as their foresight to show them a pathway that they're not looking at. But one of my coaching program, main one, is called Believe to Achieve. So that's what I do, right? It's like I show them how to believe in themselves to achieve whatever they want in whatever works for them at the time. So I'm not sure if I answered that directly, but hopefully that gives you a bit of a picture.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, that if somebody has an experience or they're going through something, chances are you've been through it from your decade of hell. So you can give them a good way to deal with it.
Yeah.
So I read in your bio, you're an author as well.
I am. So funny story how that all came about. So during that window of my life that was very challenging, what I was doing, because I'd studied the human physiology and I had a lot of and passion for the mind body, I was doing things to help me get through each day. So, those days you wake up and you're filled with stress and anxiety, those sorts of things, experiences, which I'm sure you guys understand. I would be doing these particular things to help me shift it from my body, right? Which is, it's a stress response that's sitting in our physiology that needs to move out of it. So I would do something physical, and I had all these different techniques that I was doing, random things, bouncing a ball or digging a hole or, belting the bed with a tennis racket, screaming in the car. There were all these little things. And a friend of mine called me one day, and she was having a really hard time. It was a whole lot of stuff to do with whether they were keeping their house and all of these sorts of things. And I said to her, she lived near the ocean and the beach. And I said, do this for me. Get up, walk away from your desk, take a spade, a shovel, whatever you have, and go to the beach, which is just around the corner. I said, and I just want you to put a timer on your phone. And for 1 minute, I want you to dig a hole as fast and as hard as you can and go as deep as you can. I said, and then I want you to stop for a minute. And then I want you to do the same thing, but I want you to dig another hole, and I want you to dig it deeper than the first hole. And she said, are you crazy? And I went, yeah, probably, but just do it. So she does it. 2 hours later, she comes back and she said, I don't know what I've just done, but I feel completely different. And then I explained a little bit of the science of what we're doing with our physiology and how it's counteracting the stress chemicals, because we're releasing dopamine and we're releasing serotonin, which are the neurochemicals that calm the stress chemicals down of cortisol and adrenaline. I gave her just a little bit of that. And that's just my nerdy science stuff to do with the brain body. It was just came out. She said, do you have other ones? And I went, yeah, there's heaps. She said, you need to write a book because everyone in the world needs those techniques. They're so simple and easy to use. And I went, oh, I never thought about it. So off I go down the rabbit hole and go deep into the science of all these things that I do that take 1 to 2 minutes to calm the nervous system down. I call them stress hacks. They're not, they don't remove the stress permanently. That's what the meditation does over time, but they actually calm the nervous. So we hack the nervous system into a state of calm. So the next decision that we need to make is made consciously, not through a set of fear goggles, because we've got all these fear chemicals racing around in our bodies. So I went deep into it, and on the back of that, the book came out. I wrote a book called How to Calm Down Before You Blow Up. So it's literally stress hacking techniques that prevent you from getting to a full-on reaction, because what we know is when we're under pressure and when we're not coping, a typical stress response is anger. It comes out as a rage, a form of rage and anger. That's the most common. It comes out in lots of things, but that's the one. So the goal here for me was writing this book to help as many people as I can who are going through anything, like anything that I've been through. You could use one of the 15 to 20 hacks that are in there to help you calm your nervous system down. And that's how the book came about. So that's a little bit of a long story, but that's literally how it happened.
Cool. Got a question from Nina Barnes. You went through a lot and came out on the other side strong. What advice would you give a person going through an unseen transition in life to succeed?
Oh, really, really good question. I think the first really important thing from my perspective and my experience is we don't get given challenges that we can't handle. It might feel like we can't, but our purpose is to evolve, right? That's why we're all here. We're to evolve, to grow, right? We're not here to stay stagnant, because we know stagnation is the death, like it's extinction. We can't, if we don't change and grow and evolve, we become extinct. So the first thing is, this is a part of a growth evolution period of time in your life. So rather than looking at it from a negative set of eyes, look at it as in, okay, I'm growing here and I'm evolving, number one. Number two is it passes. It doesn't stay forever. We know this too shall pass. It does pass. But the last thing, and probably the most important thing, is making sure that you have support around you. So finding the right coaches, mentors, teachers or whatever, and finding modalities of, techniques and modalities that work for you. So taking care of the self and the physiology. During life's transitions, what happens is, think about our physiology like a river. And the river, during transitions, it feels like there's a lot of rubbish in the river, right? So we've got Coke bottles, we've got tree logs, we've got, boulders, and a river wants to flow. And it's during these transitions that more obstacles seem to get in the way of the river flowing. So the important thing through these transitions is that we support ourselves and our nervous system in helping the river keep flowing by doing stress hacking techniques, making sure we do some talk therapy, looking after our bodies is super important. And then finding other tools and techniques to help you get through, finding people who have been through something similar, support groups that you've gone through or are going through. But the best thing that you can do, and this was me, is find the right mentors around you who have been there before, so that can give you roadmaps and suggestions and tools to help you get through it. That's kind of the sort of package of how I'd sort of embrace all of that. And that was what I did. Firstly, I never gave up. So hang on, that's the other thing. That's the first thing. It was like, fierce determination. Don't give up. The only way out of a transition is through it. So you have to arm yourself with all the tools that you can to keep walking through it. I saw a fantastic video yesterday about bisons. They are the only animal on the planet that walk into a snowstorm, not away from it, because they know that by walking through the snowstorm that they will get out the other side of it quicker, rather than stopping in the snowstorm or walking away from it, because you walk away from the snowstorm and guess what? It's going to catch up to you and still hit you at some point, right? So they're the only animal that walks through. So it's that fierce determination of going, I can do this, and having the support around you to keep walking through the snowstorm, knowing it will end on the other side.
Keep your head up and push through. Yes, I love that.
That's good advice. I like that. Now, you're talking about Vedic meditation. How does that differ from? I know there's, you can probably go to a self-help section of any bookstore, and there's probably a dozen different types of meditation out there. How does that differ from other meditation practices?
Yeah, so great question. So there's generally meditations fall into 4 categories. There's a lot more, but let's just high level it for now. We have concentration type meditations. We have contemplation type meditations. We have sort of chanting type meditations, repetitive. And we have transcending meditations, which is what Vedic meditation falls into. Now, when we're in life, we've got this, conditioning in our cultures of always seeking, let me just back up. So if we think about life, we have peaks and troughs. We're just talking about it. We have peaks and troughs. Some of the troughs are massive. Some of them are little undulations. We have peaks and troughs. You can't have a peak without a trough. You can't have a trough without a peak. That's life. Okay. So it's like on the top of the ocean. Now, if you think about it like waves on the ocean, sometimes they're big, sometimes they're small, but the waves are not being caused by the ocean. The waves are being caused by external forces on the ocean that are causing the waves. What we know is at the bottom of the ocean, regardless of what's going on the surface, it's being impacted by external forces. There is nothing but stillness, calm. So if we think about it from a relative world, we as people are wandering around in the world, going through peaks and getting bumped around by what's happening external. That's what's causing these undulations in our life, right? So this is what's happening in life. And we have not been taught very well as a society on handling the troughs. We get taught how to find the peaks. And we get taught how to find them external from ourselves. We go to the shopping center or mall, you call it, you do buy new shoes, you get the new car, you go to a movie, all of these external things, we go looking outside to make us keep having these peaks, when in actual fact, it's never, ever going to be like that. So what we need to do is teach ourselves how to handle the troughs. And the way we do that in Vedic meditation is by a mantra that is repeated in your mind that has no intended meaning. It is a primordial sound. It has no meaning. It's just a sound vibration, and we're all vibrations, right? We're all impacted by vibration. So with the other meditations, and they all have a place. I used all of them. I still use lots of other different meditation tools and techniques for whatever I need. The difference being in this stressed world we live, the other meditations are asking you to do something in them. Okay. So a contemplation meditation is like a guided meditation where it's asking you, you're guided, you're being told, I want you to think that you're on a river, and whatever the guided meditation. So you're being told to do something. A concentration meditation is the same thing. It could be that you're concentrating on a candle or whatever it is, but it's the same thing. You're asking your mind to do something, and the same with the chanting. Now, when we're stressed out as a population globally, are the highest numbers of stress, anxiety, and depression we've ever seen. Asking the mind to do something is not helping us as in the best way that we can, because our mind needs to stop doing something so that we can calm down, because the mind, this active mind, keeps flooding our bodies with all these stress chemicals, and we keep building up these stress layers. With the transcending meditation or Vedic meditation, what this does is it's effortless and it's easy. We're not asking the mind to do anything. We are simply repeating a sound in our mind that allows us to drop away from all the external thoughts and transcend. Okay, so go where you're not. We're going away from the relative world. We're going away from thoughts. And this mantra is designed to be forgotten. That's the behind it. So we get to a point, and the other thing is, your mind will like the sound so much that it doesn't want to think about anything else, right? So it's so charming to the mind. It's so alluring that it just follows this sound, and eventually the sound or the mat disappears as well, and you're in nothingness. You transcend, meaning you go away from where you are and you come to a place of stillness at the bottom of the ocean. And that's how this works. So it's the most scientifically researched and proven meditation technique for calming the nervous system. It is the science behind and the research that's been done. Actually, most of the research has been done out of the States. It's quite profound in terms of the research that's come out in how this meditation is helping war veterans, helping people with severe anxiety and depression. It's been taken into jails now in the US. We've got an Aussie over there who's living over there who's doing this in the jail in New York City. What's it called? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. But we're taking it in because what it's doing is it's helping get more calm chemicals flooding through our body. So we live in this world that's very fight and flight right now, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Fight and flight chemicals, everything. And unfortunately, flight and fight chemicals, you would know this better than anyone. They're there for a reason. They're there to keep you safe when you're in danger. Now, unfortunately, what's happening in society now is that the perceived threats that are coming in are not perceived threats, but the mind and the body don't know that. You get an email from an angry customer, you've had a fight with your partner, something bad's happening in your life that is not actually a threat to your life, but your body releases the chemicals anyway. And because we've got so many coming at us so much, we've just got this stress bomb chemical after stress bomb chemical coming in, and we're not doing anything to get rid of it. And what this meditation does is allows the physiology to rest. It's the equivalent, 20 minutes of this meditation has been scientifically proven to be the equivalent of 2 to 3 hours deep sleep. So it drops the body into such a powerful place of rest that the body can release all the rubbish that's in there, calm it down and heal itself, so that your mind is operating from a cognitive functions working properly rather than from the fear goggles. And that's kind of a very quick way for me to explain how that works, but hopefully that makes sense.
It does. And you're right about the fight or flight. I feel so many people are in a defensive mode all the time now. Yeah. And it's, I don't know, it just, it's kind of bad. Now, some people need to settle down a little bit. We have a question here from Nepal. He's a climbing guide, Sanjeev, and he said he climbs with all levels of people here in Nepal. Would you consider their attempts to reach peaks a form of meditation, or what would you call it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So there, you can definitely. Yes. So yes, it can be a form of meditation. What it's not doing is creating stillness in the physiologies, because it's a very active thing. However, what it is doing is it's not forcing the mind, but the mind has no choice but to be in the present moment, which means it's not thinking about past and it's not thinking about future, because they're in the present moment. And that in itself is a very powerful modality to be in, to live in. Most of our fears and our, the stresses come because we're too busy worrying about what's going to happen, or we're too busy, thinking about all the rubbish that's happened in the past that we can't change. So yes, it is a form of meditation, a different form, but it is bringing you into the present moment. And again, with the Vedic meditation, that's what it starts to do. It starts to, over time, the more you dip yourself in and out of the meditation practice, it keeps bringing you back to that present moment awareness. So the climbing peaks does that naturally, because if you don't stay in the present moment when you're climbing a peak in Nepal, you're going to die. So it is definitely a form of a very powerful practice, and would be having some very profound impacts.
Okay. Now, here's a quick, what are 3 non-negotiable things that you have to do every day to ensure that you have a good day?
Non-negotiable: meditate every day, it's twice a day, so morning and afternoon. That's a non-negotiable. Move, so some form of exercise, and I don't mean killing yourself at the gym. I mean going for a nice walk, or doing whatever. Just movement in itself is the second thing. And the last thing for me is just being present with everybody that I interact with. So staying in the present moment and interacting with people from my heart and giving them my attention, because the number one commodity that we have is attention. So somebody's giving me attention, I'm going to give the attention back as a respect. They're the 3 things, but there's so many others that are really non-negotiables. I time block how I operate in terms, because I have a lot going on. So it's, I have time blocking in my calendar. If I have to do something really focused, everything else gets put to the side. It's blocked out, no distractions. So that's a couple of the other modalities. There are a few others, but the 3 that are non-negotiable for me are those top 3. Meditation, because it keeps me calm. It releases all the rubbish from the day before. It gets rid of all the stresses from the physiology. It means that I show up with a very clear mind and working so I can do my best work. Movement is important because we're in a physical body. We have to take care of it. And 3 is really being giving my attention to the people that are giving me their attention, so that I'm meeting them out of respect, from a respectful place.
Okay. All right. Those are 3 good ones. This here comes from Bomb Texas on X. Does the mental health practice of EMDR correlate to this?
I'm not versed enough to be able to answer EMDR, so I can't actually give that, and I would hate to give the wrong information. So unfortunately, I'm probably not the best person to sort of connect those 2 dots. So unfortunately, I can't sort of answer that to the best of my ability, and I would not want to disrespect EMDR in any way, shape, or form. So apologies that I can't actually answer that one for you.
Hey, that was an honest answer.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie.
That's what we're looking for.
If more people would do that, the world would be a better place.
Yeah, not going to do that. Definitely not.
So if somebody wants to reach out to you and pick your brain a little bit, how do they get in touch with you?
The easiest way that is either just on LinkedIn. It's just my name, Nic Monteforte. Look, NICMONTEFORTE, or on Instagram. They're the 2 easiest ways. Drop me a DM. Again, my Instagram handle is exactly the same. It's at Nic Monteforte. So you can't miss me. So they're the easiest way. Reach out through messages there. Otherwise, they can jump on my website, which is nicmonteforte.com, and they can request to catch up with me either in a call or through the contact form.
Okay. Well, Nic, it's been an interesting conversation this evening. Learned a lot. I had a good time this evening.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I feel really, you guys are amazing. Awesome. Such good vibes. So yeah, I feel very privileged to have been invited to speak to you all today and to your audience. So thank you.
Well, we're glad that you came on. I guess you get to go enjoy the rest of your day. I think I'm going to go take about an 8-hour nap.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's got to be a tea and a bedtime for you guys. So thank you for accommodating the time zone.
Hey, anytime. We do this every Tuesday. So
Tuesday, I love it. I have to come
Nic,
and visit
you have
you
a
all.
wonderful day. And
yeah, you too.
To everybody out there watching, we love you from the Misfit Nation. And any parting words of wisdom, Stephen?
No, not at all.
Remember,
because when I get nervous, I don't kick back. I get sarcastic. You don't want that.
Go meditate, Stephen. That'll lessen.
Yeah, that's it.
Sarcasm.
Reach out if you want to learn, Stephen.
Well, hey, everybody have a good evening. Thank you again, Nic. And Stephen, I'll catch you next week.
All right. Have a great night. Thank you.
Big love, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a message from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Got a question about your VA benefits, healthcare, or eligibility? Go to va.gov, where you can access a new interactive chatbot to ask questions 24/7. One can still browse va.gov for information, but you can now ask specific questions to the chatbot, like what's the PACT Act? How do I apply for disability benefits? What's my claim status? You can access the new feature through va.gov's Contact Us page. Then click on the Start Chat button. The chatbot will continue to improve veterans' access to information about the benefits and services they've earned. This is one way VA is offering seamless and secure access to its online resources.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.